with me now here in Tel Aviv, former spokesman for the Israeli Defense Forces. And Jonathan, you know, we're in this moment where the escalation, the relentlessness in the north, the conflict continues in Gaza. You have strikes in the West Bank. You have Israel making a decision on exactly what it is going to hit in Iran. This is not an if. This is a what. And it is a when. You obviously have been in the IDF throughout the war. You were there on October 7th. So I know you've got some maps of what you think exactly could be happening here in these next hours of where Israel could choose to strike. What's first?
Well, first of all, as you say, I think it's a matter of when and where and how strong and in what order. And this is based, the maps that we're seeing is based on the experts at FDD, Benham Ben Taleblu, Andrea Stricker, Said Ghaseminejad, and Mark Dubovitz, and the FDD visual intelligence team. What we've done is to analyze, first and foremost, the military infrastructure that Iran has in place, which probably will be the first target of an Israeli attack. There are specific bases where the assessment is that most of the rockets, the 180 missiles that were fired
on Tuesday here,
exactly, they were fired from specific bases in Iran towards Israel. Those are the Arak and Isfahan and Imam Ali bases. And I think it's fair to assume that there will be some kind of issue with striking those first, because those three, because that is where they struck from. Important to mention that the Iranians do have air defenses, and in any future scenario, Israel will want to take care of those air defenses in order to facilitate other attacks
on other locations.
Are
they confident they can do that? Because one thing they don't, or you know, that you don't want to have happen is what happened to the Iranians, right? I mean, a lot of things came through, but they didn't hit the targets. They didn't do massive destruction everywhere. Israel can't afford for that to be the outcome of what you do.
No, and that's not how Israel operates. That's also one of the differences between having a plane with a pilot and fifth-generation capabilities versus a missile that is fired from hundreds of kilometers away and only has limited ability to actually pinpoint the strike. When there's a pilot in the cockpit and very good intel, the chances of striking, yes, are much higher.
All right, so you talk about those three sites where the missiles were launched from that you think there would definitely be strikes there.
Right.
President Biden, we heard a moment ago, say he's open to strikes on oil facilities. Some believe that that's deeply escalatory, but I know you believe that should be on the table, and you have gone through specific infrastructure that you think right now, if you're in the Israeli war cabinet, that they are targeting for this strike.
Yeah. So, I mean, what we're talking about is there's about 14 major oil refineries and oil-related locations spread all over Iran. Some of them are, most of them are, of course, along the sea. That is where they export from. Many people are familiar with Kharj in the western part of the coast, and of course Bandar Abbas. But there's many other locations that are very vital to the economy of the Islamic Republic. But if you look at Tehran, and you can see really the abundance of important regime targets in Tehran. We're talking about, you know, the Supreme Leader's office, where he runs Iran from, the Ministry of Defense, the Intel and Security, which is where they do internal oppression and external operations from, the IRGC, and many other locations. So I would look very strongly at Tehran.
But if you look at the Supreme Leader does his work and rules the country from, if Israel strikes that,
right.
Many hear that and say, okay, that is a whole new thing. Is that do you telegraph ahead so you make sure he's not there? I mean, what do you? How would you suggest something like that be executed?
Yeah, so that very much depends on what Israel wants to achieve, what strategy Israel has, and what the end game is. If Israel only wants to deal Iran a severe military blow, then the first slide we spoke about, military targets, that will send that message. If Israel wants to go further, and many say that this is the best opportunity that Israel will have.
They say go for the nuclear facilities.
Go for the nuclear or go for regime. And Israel has collected a lot of intelligence over the years. It has, I think, a very good understanding of where the targets are. In terms of nuclear sites, it becomes a little bit more complex with the nuclear sites, because if Israel, there's a lot of sites there, there's about 15 sites, but there's 4 specific sites that are new and probably more related to weaponization. Foreign experts, they indicate that they have enough fissile material for 15 bombs already. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, but bottom line, where we really are now, this could happen in a matter of days, and I think that there's an abundance of targets. we'll see what Israel decides to
Well,
do.
days and hours, and as we have learned, they know where people are. If they want to take out individuals, they can. It is a decision that will impact the whole world. Thank you so much, Jonathan
Thank you.
Conricus. An incredibly sober moment that we are all in the midst of.